Hello Primary 1 and 2. I hope you've just watched the first video which looked at the skiers. So we used there was lots of black and white in those pictures. So today you're going to need a piece of white paper, if you've got one, and any kind of black pen, felt tip if you've got one, and also choose another couple of colours. Thinking back to the skiing picture that we looked at, there were some red and some blue in it. So I don't have a red, but I had this colour, and I've got a blue here. Okay, so that's what you're going to need to start with. And you might also want to get some gloves and scarves, but I'll talk to you about that in a moment, so just watch the video for now. So we're going to design today a pair of gloves for one of the skiers in the painting that you've just looked at. So we're going to move these to the side just now and have a little look at some different patterns that we can get. So I actually don't have any interest in gloves. Gloves in my house are all really boring. They're all sort of black and grey and don't have many patterns. But I do have some nice, some of these sort of buffs. So this one here has got really good patterns. Have a look at this. It's got loads of triangles. They've not used lots and lots of colours. There's just light blue, dark blue, white, and a black. So they've made up this pattern, but using just those four colours, and they've got all different types of triangles. I think it works really well for a buff because it looks kind of like cold, icy weather outside. So I quite like this pattern, but I'll show you some other ones that I found as well. So that's the first one. The other one I have here, this is a really, really old one. But this one has got an interesting pattern on it. I wonder if you've seen this pattern before anywhere, or maybe you know what this pattern is called. I can open it out a bit further actually. Okay, so this pattern is called a paisley pattern, and when you see these sort of shapes, they almost look like they're swimming or something, don't they? Looks like maybe like a whale from the top. But we've got these shapes here are called paisley pattern, and they were really famous from a place called Paisley in Scotland. But mixed in with that, there's some flowers and two different types of flowers. There's something else, and hopefully you can see that okay in the video. There's some bits in the corner as well they've put on theirs. So that's quite interesting. Lots of dots and really little lines. If I hold this a bit closer, you might see it better. Lots of dots and lots of little lines going around, and stars. So these patterns that's very, very detailed. Much more detailed, or differently detailed than this one. This one only uses two colours, but it's still really, really bright and patterned. So those are two things that I've got here. I've also got this hat here, which has got, I think I showed you this one last week, lots of zigzag lines. Okay, so there's lots of zigzag lines. It's not quite as detailed because it's a knitted pattern. So some of your gloves might be a bit like this. They might have some pattern, but maybe not quite as detailed as we've got on these ones that are printed on to the buffs. And I have got one other thing, which is, let's keep your hands warm, but it's not gloves, it's a hand warmer. So I've got this hand warmer here, and you can see there's lots of patterns on there. I think this is a bit of a Christmassy one because it's got reindeers and trees, snowflakes, and it's got love hearts. And I like the way there's lots of little triangles in there as well. And I like this bit at the bottom. It looks quite like the knitted pattern on here, doesn't it, at the bottom? But it's a printed on one. So these are the patterns I've got. I bet you've got really good patterns in your house, probably a lot more exciting than the patterns I've got, but these are the ones that I've got here, and we're going to design today a pair of gloves. Now doesn't matter if you haven't got lots of patterns, you're going to make up your own one from your imagination today. So if you wanted to, you could pause the video and you could go off and have a look and see if you can find some gloves that you've got at home. have a look at the patterns and talk to someone about the patterns that you can see. Maybe it's on a scarf, not on gloves. Maybe you've got some buffs like these that have got really good patterns on them. So if you want to pause the video and have a look, you can. If not, you can just keep watching just now. So I'm going to put these away out the way just now. And we're going to design our gloves. So your hands are a bit smaller than my hands, so I think I don't know if I'll fit 2 of my hands on to the paper, but I think you should be able to. Well, I can just about fit them on. So when you do it, you should have a lot more room than me. So I would put my paper this way round. So this is landscape, that was portrait, and this was landscape. So we're going to do it this way round. And I just need a pencil to start with. Now, you might need somebody to help you here, but why not have a go on your own first? You're going to put your hand down and make sure your fingers aren't all tight together. So make sure they're spread out a little bit. You can almost fit a finger in between each one. And don't have your hand right to the edge of the paper. Just have it, my fingers are almost at the top, but your hand will be smaller. And I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw around my hand. I'm going quite lightly round because this is just to give me an idea to get started. And on top of this, I'm going to draw my glove shape. So can be a bit ticklish doing this. And I'm going right to the edge of the paper. So that's one. Not too bad. You hopefully will have a bit more room at the edge. I'm just going to check you can see that okay, yeah. You hopefully have got a little bit more room there and you can do a nice cuff on your glove. I didn't have much room on that one. Now, here's the tricky bit. I'm left-handed, so I had my pencil in my left hand and my right hand down. And this is the hard bit for me. You might find this hard too. And now I've got to draw around my other hand, my left hand. So it's a bit of a challenge, but I'm just going to go for it. So try and get right in. So you're going to draw around both of your hands. Oh, I didn't get my fingers spread out there. There we go, that's better. Right in. And that pinky's a bit too far out. Oh, never mind, if you, like me, you had a little wiggle there. It doesn't matter, you can always rub that. And then we're going to go right down to the edge of the paper. Okay, so once you've done that, what we can do next is we can turn them into gloves. Now they're a bit too thin at the moment, so what I could do is I could get my pencil and I could just have a go at doing a glove shape around that. So this gives me a good idea of what my gloves are going to look like. But I could maybe go just around those, make it a wee bit smoother. So this is a good time if you've had a little wiggle like I did there. So, and we can make these really nice and thick, just so they look like real gloves. And if you have got a bit of room at the bottom, I don't have much room, but say if my glove went a bit further down, I've got this piece of paper, say if my glove had gone down a bit, because my hands are too big, so yours might be a bit longer, then you could have a really nice bit on the bottom, like that. Okay, you know, sometimes the bottom of your glove, just like my sweatshirt does, has a little ribbed bit coming down. So you might be able to add that on, and that stops the snow going up into your gloves when you're out. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with my other hand. You might want to start doing that to yours now. You could always pause the video while you're doing it, or you could watch me and pause it just before I move on to the next thing. So again, I'm just going to draw around, and you might need to turn your paper as you're drawing as well. Keep one hand on your paper when you're drawing, and it stops it moving around, and use your other hand to draw around. And hopefully you'll share some of these pictures with your teacher so I can see them. I really miss being able to see all your amazing artwork and all the really creative ideas that you come up with. Oh, there we go. I think my second glove's better. I like that one better than my first one. That does look better. Never mind. Both of them will be fine. And again, I don't have the little bit at the end, but if you have room and you have been able to, you could almost add a rectangle on if you wanted to at the bottom. We could have our little bit there. So we have got our gloves and we're just about ready to decorate them. So before we start decorating them, you might want to go over them in black pen, and then you could rub out all of these lines. Okay, so if you've got a black pen, if you don't have a black pen, you can use another colour, it doesn't really matter. I've got a black pen here, so you might want to go, I'm going to move in a bit to get a bit closer. And I could go right round these. Maybe you've already done this, you might have just drawn round in your black pen already rather than your pencil. And then what you can do is all those little lines underneath, I missed a bit there, all these little lines underneath, you can rub them out if you want to. So any little mistakes you made, we can just get rid of them. Okay. Brilliant. Just checking you can see everything, yeah. So there's one of my gloves, and I could do the same with this one, but I'm just going to leave it just for now so that you can get on with yours. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a pattern onto our gloves. So what I would suggest you do for this part is, rather than just doing your pattern straight on, what I want you to do is to get a scrappish piece of paper, just any old paper this, okay, you can use a piece of paper, have a practice of doing some patterns, have a little look. Maybe you want to have a go at doing a pattern like this one with the triangles. Maybe you want to have a go doing one like this with zigzag lines. Okay, maybe you want to have a go at doing the paisley pattern that we looked at. But maybe you want to have a go with something like this, or like this, or with the reindeers. These are quite good with the triangles, but perhaps you've got your own idea, or you've found some really good patterns in your house and thinking, oh, I'm going to use that. So this is the time now to have a little practice with a few different patterns. Okay, so I could be thinking, oh, we did this last time, so you should be quite good at playing around with patterns. I'm going to try it straight on with pen. I could think, if I wanted to do triangular patterns, I could practice drawing triangles, all different sizes of them. So you might want to just do a random pattern and really decorate it, but perhaps you would like to do a more regular pattern. So you could cover your glove in triangles. Maybe you prefer to do a repeating pattern. So I'm thinking for this one, I was thinking about this part of my hand warmer. I was thinking about the pattern on there. Could do that, and then another line. And I really have to control my pencil on here and take my time. See how I'm holding my paper again? Make sure it doesn't slip around when I'm working. And then they've got these sort of diamond shapes. And then they've got another row a bit further up, so I might try. Well, that's quite a nice pattern. I quite like that one. So you have a think about your pattern and what you want to do. Pause the video, have a little play around on the paper. If you've got a whiteboard at home, you could do it on the whiteboard as well. And you could leave it like that, or you could put something inside each of these. Okay, I'm going to have a little go with the paisley pattern one as well. I quite like that one. And let's have a look at the paisley pattern. So it's kind of round and then curves round a little bit, like that sort of shape. And they can all sort of fit within each other. You can do another one like that. You can have lots of different ones. And they filled them in with little lines and things, but you could do your own idea. Don't want to just copy someone else's design, come up with your own one. I could fill that in, and I could take this idea. Yeah, I might take this idea and I'll do some triangles inside. If you don't like the idea of triangles, you could do something else. You could do just straight lines. You could do curved lines. So let me see. Sure, you've got some really good ideas. So you could do it with straight lines like that, or you could do it more with curved lines. It's like I'm working on a number line here and doing jumps forwards and backwards on my number line. And then I think they definitely need something inside them. So I might put some circles, 3 circles getting smaller, and a wee pattern on those. I would try and make all my pieces of paisley pattern the same if I was using it. So once you've decided on your pattern, I'd like you, so have a wee practice and decide which one you like. Then you can have a go at drawing it over your gloves. So you might want to pause the video now when you go off and have a little play around with some different patterns. Okay? Right, you should now be ready to add your patterns on to your gloves. What are you going to go for? What do you think I should do? Do you think I should do triangles, paisley, this one, or something else totally different? Oh, I think I'm going to choose the paisley one because I think it might be better to show you. Do you think it'd be a good one to do on here? Actually, I might do the one with the triangles. I think the paisley one might be a bit big for here, and I'm going to do both gloves the same. Okay, so maybe this part of my glove, I might do these sort of ribs. So it'd be a bit like at the edge of the hat here. We've got all these ribs coming in. So I might draw a nice straight line pattern going round. You don't need yours on 2 pieces of paper. That's just because my hands are too big. I should have found some bigger paper, but I only had A4 this size. So I could start to put on my triangles onto here. And the reason I want you to show you this pattern, I could have done it with paisley as well, is I want you to think about what happens when you come to the end or the edge of your glove and you've no more room to keep going with that pattern. What are you going to do? Because what you might end up doing is just stopping, and then so if I show you, if I do a bit more, my triangles are all ending up about the same size, I've noticed. On this one, on the buff here, they were all quite different. Like there's some really little ones, some big ones. So when you're working on it, you might want to do them slightly differently. I think actually what I'm going to do with mine, well, that one's ended up a bit different. See if I can make them slightly different types of triangle. Into a small one, some bigger ones. Small ones are good if you get a little gap. But if you get this sort of space here at the edge where you think, oh, there's not enough room to do a triangle, just do one and it's okay if it goes out the lines, because at the end we're going to cut the gloves out. So it doesn't matter if you go over the edges. I'm going to do this all the way over, but I'm not going to do this pattern on the fingers. I'm going to do something different on the fingers. Here we go, look, I've gone over the line again. Which is good. And I'm filling in all these spaces. Now the challenge for you is, can you make your gloves both look the same. Oh no, I'm talking too much here, and that one's almost like a square. Never mind. Like a rectangle, sorry. There we go. Sometimes you really need to concentrate, and if you're talking as you're doing it, you're not quite paying attention to what you're doing, like I wasn't there. There we go. And then I would want to do the same on this glove. I'm just thinking, I don't think I want to do that pattern all the way up into the fingers, but I think what I will do is I might do some zigzaggy lines going at the bottom of the fingers. So, and then I might have to do the same on the thumb as well. And I think I made a few more triangles into this area here. It's looking a bit blank. It's a bit empty. So I could leave it like that actually, that would look quite good. Or I could then think I might do some more lines a bit further up. And if you run out of ideas here and you think, oh, I don't know what to do, what you could do is have a look back at your idea sheet. You know, when you started at the beginning, you sketched out some ideas. So you could come up to the top. And then you're almost there, maybe one more. So each of these has got, the thumb doesn't, but these ones have all got 3 lines on them. I might put a triangle at the top of each one. Okay, now you do the same on this one as on that glove. If you want to, and you want to do a really different pattern on that side, that's okay. You can do that too. You might want to explore some different patterns. I'm not going to colour the whole glove in, but I'm thinking back to the painting we looked at this morning, and there was only little bits of colour added in, and I quite liked that. So I'm going to add in some little bits of colour. This is quite a nice pen to do things with, so I might not colour them all in. I'm just going to pick a few triangles. Let's put try some of this one as well. Oh, this pen's a wee bit dry. I should have tested that one out first, never mind, that's okay. So I could colour all of them in, or I could colour some of them in. For my patterns, I might want to add a bit of the blue in up here. I'm just drawing it above the line. But it's up to you. So your gloves are not going to look like my gloves. I think they'll actually be much better than my gloves. They'll be really creative. You'll have lots of ideas. Have a think about what you want on your gloves, and when you are finished, you can cut the gloves out and they will be ready for those skiers. Hopefully they already had gloves on, but if they need a spare pair, then here we go, you've made them for them. And you can show these ones to your teacher on Teams. Okay, or if you're showing things on Twitter, you could do it there, but I think lots of people are sharing their work on Teams. Okay, I think those triangles probably need a colour at the end there, so I might go off and do that now. Maybe a bit round here, and when I'm cutting out, I can cut all the way around here. If you need a little bit of help cutting them out, you might want to ask an adult to give you a bit of a hand. You might manage this bit really well by yourself, and you might need a little bit of help getting into the fingers around there of your gloves. Okay, so go and get creative, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your amazing patterned gloves that you're going to make. Thank you.